Well, there's two things we've done. I've written to all schools and parents as well this week to say that parents must be able to see all materials around relationship, sex and health education. There are no copyright reasons why those materials cannot be shown to parents. I've made that clear to schools, and I've also sent them a pro forma letter that they can send to their providers of these materials in case there's any reason to clear that up. So that's the first thing. The second thing we're doing is we've appointed an independent panel who have been looking at age appropriateness and age limits for each sort of area of sex education that's taught in our schools. So they will be, well, they have already given us some indication, so we're working to update guidance based on their findings, and that will be released before the end of the year.
Well, Ms. Keegan, I've been involved in this myself. I used to teach teenagers about the dangers of pornography addiction in schools. Spoke to about 45,000 across the UK. I noticed something changing in my time, though, and that was this. A lot of activists were getting involved from outside of schools, going into schools, talking about things like LGBTQ, trans stuff, and also quite extreme, sexually explicit material. Is part of the problem the fact that activist teachers are getting in outsiders, your likes of your Stonewalls, your mermaids, and they're getting quite dangerous ideas into young minds? What will you do about that?
Well, these are some of the reports that we've been hearing from the likes of yourself, and there's been some media reports and press reports and paper stories in the paper, etc. And that's why actually we appointed the independent panel. We accepted that we ought to be clearer about what's appropriate to be taught at what age. We've also made it clear that contested views such as there are lots and lots of genders, etc., that they must not be taught as fact. So we are tightening up the guidance to make sure that it's much clearer that relationship and sex education is age appropriate. It's not based on contested facts, it's based on facts, and that all the materials related to the teaching of children in our school, including in this area, can be shown and should be shown to the parents. It's very important actually that parents are involved and a part of this discussion, because of course children have questions when they get home, and their parents are the primary educators of their children in many ways as well.
OK, Gillian, on a specific point, do you think we should be kicking out trans ideology from British classrooms?
Well, actually, on the specific point, we are going to bring forward gender questioning guidance, which enables teachers and head teachers to navigate what is a sensitive area that we do need to treat sensitively as well. But we will be bringing that guidance out, and I hope that will be out as well. I'm working with the Equalities Minister and looking at what we can do in that space, and we'll be bringing that out for consultation. Hopefully, it'll be out before the end of the year.
Look, Ms Keegan, whilst we've got you this morning, I needed to ask you about the shocking news last night from Crispin Blunt, the Tory MP who named himself as the MP who's been arrested in connection with rape. Important to say, he says at this point that he believes this is all going to end without charge. But it does follow the Tory MP, Peter Bone, suspended on Wednesday for 6 weeks for bullying and sexual misconduct against a staff member. There are now a total of 9 Tory MPs who've been embroiled in sexual misconduct claims or allegations, following Chris Pincher as well. I mean, Rishi Sunak stood on the steps of Downing Street a year ago and promised a government that will lead with integrity. Are you a government of integrity? Because it looks as though you're a party with a sexual misconduct problem.
Absolutely not, and I'm definitely a person of integrity, and we are a party of integrity. And all you can do in these situations, I mean, obviously these are very serious allegations, so the whip has been suspended or removed in some cases as well. All you can do is act swiftly, support the institutions, whether that's involvement from the police or whether that's Parliamentary Standards Committee, support the institutions and make sure that you act quickly. That's all you can do in these situations. But, I've been in Parliament now for 6.5 years. is, and I will say the vast majority of my colleagues, you see, no signs of this at all. I haven't seen any examples of this. But when they do happen, and they happen on all parties, it's not just one party. There are a number of people who are currently suspended in other parties as well. So it happens with all parties. I will be honest; it's usually male colleagues as opposed to female colleagues. But all you can do is, when it happens, act with integrity, follow the right processes, and make sure you act on the findings of those.
And Ms Keegan, another day, another round of terrible headlines on immigration for the Conservative Party, this time on asylum backlogs. Looking back over time, something leaps out, and that is this is the government that's gone very soft on deportation, very soft on refusing asylum. 76% of those who apply are granted asylum. When are you finally going to get tough on immigration?
Well, we have got tough on immigration. We're the people who have introduced new legislation, because obviously you have to have the law behind you. We've also obviously had the Rwanda policy, which is still in the courts, but that is part of the policy. And we've also got returns agreements now with a number of countries, and a new agreement with France as well. We're also looking at alternatives to hotels to bring that bill down to the taxpayer. So we are the ones taking all of the actions, but there is no doubt that this is a huge problem. The numbers are huge. The numbers have been growing. Well, we've actually got a reduction since last year, but this is something that's over the years has become an increasing problem. But the party has put every action in place to try and deal with it. Is the Conservative Party. The party that's blocked every single one of those actions is the Labour Party. So just be very clear on who is getting tough on this.
OK, Ms Keegan. And just finally, GB News Breakfast understands that there have been high-level discussions between government officials and humanitarian charities discussing a plan to host Palestinian refugees. Can you confirm that those conversations have been taking place, and would you support a scheme for Palestinian refugees similar to the scheme that we rolled out for Ukrainians?
No, what we're focused on right now is trying to get that pause so we can get humanitarian aid operationalised, taken to the people who need it, and not put into the wrong hands. Any future decisions on any future schemes would be for the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary.